Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. I'm not saying kill yourself. I know sometimes it feels like you're gonna kill yourself. And it is, yeah.
Your marriage is so unique with a unique purpose. So the next one is sex. We're definitely sexual beings, but we... Hi!
Hey guys.
It is...
Savvy.
And Bibi. Why do you call yourself Sam?
I'm just trying it. Okay.
So Sam and Bibi, and we are coming to you today with a marriage video.
Whoa! Where have they been?
It's been a while, guys. It's been a while. The series kind of had a couple of videos, and then we took
and then we're off air. Long hiatus.
But obviously we've still been doing the family vlogs, but things have just been really hectic at the moment. Obviously, you know, the twins just started school, and Sam, I can actually share the fact that you've started a new job, or
so same company but moved office, and it's like miles away almost.
From London.
Yeah, so some of my commutes are really quite long.
Like, you know, 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, there's been some nightmare commutes, but
driving
usually 2 to 3 hours, so it's made things kind of tricky.
So we've had to have a real shift in the family routine and stuff, so I feel we're pretty much settled now, and hence we're ready to get back into this. So obviously, as followers of Christ, our view is going to be based on scripture and what the Bible says. Yeah, so
we'll be, you know, as honest as possible. We'll share our experiences and things that we've...
as transparent as we can.
You know, everything that we've gone through. But our aim is really to give the biblical perspective, you know, because anyone can just have an opinion, and all opinions are varied. Like, when we've gone through conflicts, we found that it's so useful just to go through
the word on that area that we're struggling with. You're right, because like iron sharpens iron, and I feel like it's so easy to blame things like culture, or you need to do this because that's the way my mama and daddy did it, or that's the way I've seen my friends do it, and kind of bring culture into what is biblical, and then the lines kind of get blurred there. And I know in the past I've definitely been a bit guilty. Because you know, like if I have a certain opinion on something,
just the classic, oh look, because she had like tapes, CDs. I was always those people that, you know, didn't buy tapes in church, but someone had every CD and tape.
Back in the day, now on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. So she just like, oh, have you listened to this? And shove this around you, and just play this video extra loud at certain pastors. You know, like, lay down your life for your wife. Give it up for your wife. Give her what she wants. You want a brand new car, give it to her. All that kind of stuff. So it's like we've justified ourselves through
what other people said.
Or what this social media husband is doing. And look what he bought for his wife, and things like that. Yeah. So it's just like comparison.
Yeah,
you know.
Comparison is, you know, it's disrespectful to your spouse.
It is, yeah.
Because your marriage is so unique with a unique purpose. And we believe since God designed marriage, then He's the best person to go to for that advice on how, you know, your marriage should function. So we're going to talk about primary purpose in marriage
and secondary purposes.
And we believe in marriage, the primary purpose is to become more like Christ, become more like Jesus, and reflect God's love story. And marriage is a covenant and not a contract. I think there's few life situations that test true Christian character than that which you find in a marriage relationship. I'm talking about, you know, sacrificial love, unconditional love, loving your spouse when you don't think they deserve it, respect, submission, forgiveness. And as believers, we need to have that perspective that our marriage is not just about us, it's bigger than us.
Yeah, it's so much bigger.
And it's a wonderful opportunity for us to witness and reflect God's love story between Christ and the church. Yeah,
so, you know, as singles, or, you know, in a marriage, our ultimate purpose is to glorify God, you know. So if we're called to do that as singles, in a marriage, God expects exactly the same thing.
Together. Alright, so next thing we're going to talk about is secondary purposes, which includes things like friendship or companionship, protection, enjoyment,
fruitfulness, and sexuality.
Let's go. So the first thing we're going to talk about in marriage is friendship and companionship. I definitely believe when you get married, you should marry your best friend. And Sam is definitely, you're my best friend.
Aww.
Who's your best friend?
My mom.
Are you serious?
Joke, it's you. It's joke.
I Alright, but if we go all the way back to the beginning, I believe, you know, it's even echoed in scripture as well, that, you know, you have Adam here and he's all alone and he's able to name all these animals and everything, but God is saying, you know, it's not good for him to be alone. So even in the scripture it shows that God designed marriage to meet our basic need of companionship, and God said, I'm going to make him a helper. So I just think it's like this beautiful story of the fact that, you know, Adam had this longing in his heart for someone, and then God provided it in a woman.
Right, so the next one is protection, starting with the guys, you know. Husbands, protect your wives. You know, looking at the Bible, Ephesians 5, when Paul talks about husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. I'm not saying kill yourself. I know sometimes it feels like you're gonna kill yourself. And I'm not saying wives, kill him and take the house, you know, and the life insurance. I'm saying, you know, you should love your spouse to the point where, you know, if it was required, you'd lay down your life, you know, do something that great for the love you have for your wife. And also the wives, you know, you protect the home, you know, like in Titus 2. And Paul also teaches that we both belong to each other. You know, the wife's body belongs to the husband belongs to the wife. So it's a joint arrangement. And then they both come together and you protect the children. You know, you just raise godly children. You know, the Bible talks about that in Psalms, and it talks about that in Malachi as well. You know, children are such a wonderful gift, and it's an opportunity for both of you just to, you know, reflect God's love through these children and on to the next generation.
Next thing is enjoyment. Marriage should be enjoyed and not endured. Your marriage is a gift from God, so enjoy your spouse, and you know that enjoyment should continue well beyond the honeymoon period. So do date night, have fun, be silly together, you know, just enjoy the wife of your youth, the husband of your youth.
The next one is about fruitfulness. You know, your children are a gift from God, and it's an opportunity. The children are given into a relationship, so it's an opportunity for the relationship to reflect itself physically. And we're not talking about like, oh look, I've got a little mini-me, my baby's cute, I'm gonna dress him like this and like that, I'm gonna do this. No, it's not an extension of yourself, it's something even bigger. You know, it's a chance for these children to reflect God's love to the next generation. You know, and that is both an opportunity, you know, and kind of like a challenge that God gives us to reflect his love and, you know, godly qualities, that other children will see them, and, you know, they'll be an example to future generations.
So the next one is sex. We're definitely sexual beings, but we believe that marriage is the proper place to express and enjoy your sexuality in the covenant of a committed relationship. But you know, we could definitely discuss marriage and sex in another video.
Yeah, that would be like a really long video.
So those are breaking down primary and a lot of the secondary purposes, but I think the problem happens when people place the secondary purposes above primary purpose, and that can lead to like disillusionment, dissatisfaction, fear, and just a whole kind of discontentment in your marriage. And for example, you know, we said things like fruitfulness is a purpose, but more for secondary purpose. But the couple who has made maybe fruitfulness the primary purpose and aim of their marriage is going to end up really dissatisfied and discontented when either one of the spouse is not able to bear children. Those are our children. One moment.
Right, and in the same way, the spouse that makes companionship or friendship the primary purpose in the marriage would then look for fulfillment through other relationships and outlets, you know, when the other person can't fulfill those needs, which then opens the door to, you know, adultery, you know, and all sorts of that, which, you know, which is terrible.
And then, you know, likewise, the couple who makes, what's the other secondary purpose, like, you know, how much he makes and employment and that whole kind of protection and security side of it. If you make that your priority, your primary purpose, then, you know, when hardship happens, you know, when unemployment strikes, there's going to be a lot of, you know, dissatisfaction and disillusionment because you've made that, you know, this is the purpose of our marriage, that we make this much together. And that's why it's so important to maintain like a godly and biblical perspective of marriage and make that the primary purpose of your marriage. I feel that will be the foundation to a more successful relationship. As you can see, marriage does have such a great and grand purpose beyond ourselves. I think if we look at it through that lens, then we won't get distracted by, you know, all the other stuff happening around us, because it's clear to see there's such a big attack on marriages at the moment. And I think it's because, you know, the enemy sees that grand purpose behind it and he's trying to stop, you know, Christians, believers accomplishing that together. Alright, so the last thing we're going to talk about is the practical practical steps on how we're gonna, you know, fulfill our purpose in marriage. Now we know the importance of having a purpose. Now how do we do it practically? And I think, you know, we place so much value on having, you know, vision statement and steps and action steps on how we're gonna achieve maybe fitness goals or career goals.
Yeah, it's that CEO with the summer body, you know.
But why don't we have, you know, similar strategy for our marriage as well? It's like we think things will just magically fall into place just because we tied Gilly or
spray dollars, broke cola nuts
on that wedding day.
I know, and it's so common for couples just to float through the first 2 or 3 years of marriage and this love-blinded bliss, to be so gassed, staring at each other's eyes, you know, everything's so perfect. You know, we were like that as well, you know, so it's the fun of it at the start. And then boom, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I'm so dissatisfied. It doesn't feel the same anymore. You know, it's not the same person. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think that's why it's so important, and those are all distractions of the enemy, and that's why it's so important to have, I guess, a vision and a goal and a purpose behind your marriage that you're both aiming for together. I love this quote where it says, you know, vision without an action is a daydream, and action without a vision is a nightmare. Alright, so I guess the first thing I would say is definitely having something written down, you know, what you call like a marriage mission,
purpose statement, that kind of thing, yeah.
And definitely do it before the kids come along. We were told to do it earlier on, and we were like, yeah, we'll do it, we're fine.
We're so in love, we'll figure it out.
And we have the twins within like the first year of marriage, and guys, I feel like we just hit the ground running and we just get so exhausted and everything. I feel like if we'd done it earlier, we would have had that thing to focus on in our marriage. But yeah, definitely have that written down early. I think it helps as well, especially if you have individual goals that, you know, the Lord's put on your heart. So I definitely had mine with my career and stuff, and you had that as well. And obviously becoming a mum, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that later, and or maybe not do it at all, especially having such twin births. But having our marriage and our purpose written down, Sam was always able to encourage me, be like, okay, twins are 1 now, you know, you can definitely hit the books and go back to school.
No, make some money.
And so he definitely encouraged me to go back and pursue my postgraduate studying, and I'm really happy about that because we have that purpose always written down. And likewise with Sam, his, you know, business ventures and stuff, he had that down, and I feel I was able to encourage him in that as well. Yeah, definitely. And it just helps you to keep each other accountable. You know, on date night, you can be like, how's it going with this baby? You know, do you need help in this area? Or she does the same to me. She's like, you know, this guy you spoke to about this little project, how is that going? You know, and it just helps you work together. You know, you're one flesh and you work as a team. So definitely on this mission statement, we talk about our individual purposes where we're able to help keep each other accountable, but then we have a joint purpose as well. You know, we're one flesh in marriage. And so one of our purposes, I believe, is this channel, which in a way is kind of like ministry.
Like a ministry,
And so we're sharing our lives. I know it's not for everyone, and you know, we definitely something we discussed before we started doing, so we would make sure it's something that lined up with our, I guess, our purpose in marriage, and this is something that's going to ultimately glorify God. And I feel like having that clear vision, the statement behind this channel as well, has helped, because it's even helped us in terms of, you know, what opportunities we will and won't accept either. So definitely having something that you do together is important, and maybe seeing how your strengths can be brought together to help glorify God. Alright guys, that's it for this video, and I really hope you hear our heart on this. I know there's a lot involved in the failing marriage, but we believe by having a purpose and a vision behind it, it's just going to bring so much excitement and fulfillment to your marriage. And you know, I'm hoping that, you know, by the time our kids have long gone and grown up and married and moved out, that, you know, Sam and I will still be happily married.
It'll be a new beginning. We'll go on our second honeymoon.
And that will only happen if we, you know, continue to be intentional about our marriage and focus on the original purpose behind it, and let that be, I guess, the driving force behind our union.
Yeah, and the loving relationship, you know, between a husband and wife should be the clearest picture of Christ's love. You know, and the model it provides to your children, you know, the church, and just the world in general should hopefully draw others to Christ's love, because that's God's purpose for us.
Yeah, so I guess we will end here, and you know, I guess our, call it like a heart response to you. In your marriage, do you have a vision and a purpose about your marriage, and is it written down? I would love to hear if you shared that below, and maybe we can help keep each other accountable in fulfilling that. Alright, so we shall see you in our next video. Bye,
like,
guys.
share, subscribe!
Oh yeah, like, share, subscribe. Thanks, love. Bye!